Hello guys, I welcome you to this edition of my Django training. In this particular video, I am going to be teaching you how to build a courier service website or a package tracking website using Django, our Python framework called Django. Please, if this is the first time you are coming to this channel, please make sure to hit on the subscribe button and the notification bell so that anytime I post my video, you will be getting the notification. In this channel, I share a lot of awesome Django project tutorials and how to get yourself acquainted with the day-to-day activities and of programming languages like Python and JavaScript. Now, the trainings that I may be giving out from now by next month will be on React.js. But for this month, we are going to be focusing on the Django framework. Now, this is the website that we are going to be building, and I'm going to be leaving the link to this video in the link to the script of this so that you can see the source code from my GitHub and you can fork it and use it anyhow you like. I'm going to leave it for free so you can get the codes for free. All right, now let's do something here. So let me show you what we are going to be building. So this is basically as you can see here, it is hosted on a local server, showing that this is actually the website on my local device. So if you look at this website, this is what we are going to be building, a courier service. So at this place, you can track your packages. You can put your tracking code here, or you can come here and click on track package, and it's going to send you to this page. Now, in this page, if you put a tracking code here and you click on track package, now it's going to give you the information of the package that you are already tracking. And you can see here it says the receiver is Rosemary Brampton, and then the status is shipped, and the last time it was updated is September 10, 2024 by 1 a.m. Now, and this is the About Us page, and you can see that this particular website is very awesome. It is very user friendly, and let me show you how responsive this website is. So it is very responsive. Let's right click here and go to inspect, and we can select any device. So let's go with this Samsung Galaxy A51, and this is basically what you will have. Let's set it to 50%. Now this is the device, and you can see how responsive it is. If you set it to 75, you can see how responsive it is, and from here you can access your menu. You can exit it, you can click to track your packages, and you can put in your tracking ID and track it. And this is the same thing that we saw on the desktop, and we can go back to our home page, and you can see how sleek and beautiful that this website looks. All right, so this is what we are going to be building. It's basically a very simple project, but I've noticed that so many people find it difficult to do some logical tasks on Django. That's why I decided to do this particular video. Please make sure you subscribe. We noticed that more than 75% of people that view our videos, they are non-subscribers. Please guys, support my work, support my channel by subscribing to my channel. Thank you very much, and I know that you must have subscribed. Thank you. And let's proceed to the training. So now So the first thing we need to do is to create our folder that we are going to be working with. One more thing that I forgot to let you guys know is that the admin can actually control this through the Django admin. You can see this is Django admin. In my next video, I'll be showing you how to modify your Django admin to your test, or how to customize it to look a little bit nicer. So here is my package, and I can click here to add a package. And here, let me set up the person that's gonna receive this package, and let's set this one. Let's put it the same, and let's put it in transit. And you can see here we can set the status, and immediately I click on save. This is going to trigger an email. So it's gonna send an email to the user's email or to the receiver's email. If you come to my terminal here and go down to this, you'll see the email. And the reason why the email is being rendered in the terminal is because I set it to development mode or debug mode. So I am going to be receiving the emails from here, and you can see the email subject update on your package. And anytime that I change you can see the tracking code is being sent. Your tracking code is this. Now, if I change the status of this particular package, okay, let's do that. If I change it to processing and save it, it's going to also send another email to the user. So if you come down here, you see it sent another email. So update on your this thing, and it now says, dear Rosemary Blankton, the status of your package with tracking ID, this has been updated to processing. So this is basically what we do, and in this particular video. So let's get started, guys. So here I have this folder, and I am going to use this particular folder. And inside of this folder, I only have the static file and the template that I'll be working with. So I am going to open this with Visual Studio Code. That's the IDE that I'll be making use of. So I'm going to choose to show more option and open with code. All right, let's make this full screen. So this is my template. These are my templates, and these are my statics. So let's create a virtual environment. So we go here, select to run a new terminal. We close up this one, and I am going to select command prompt. I am going to remove the PowerShell because I don't like working with PowerShell. I'm going to remove this one. Now let's create a virtual environment. To create a virtual environment, we use Python -m. That's the easiest way to create a virtual environment. VENV, and then the name of the virtual environment. Let me call it new env, signifying new environment. So we can hit and enter, and you will notice that a folder is going to be created at this place. Let's wait for it. So you can see a new folder is created here. And this is the virtual environment. I am going to leave this virtual environment open for some reasons. If you look at the script, you see we only have Python executable script or file here in the script. In the libs, it is empty, and in the packages, it is also empty. In the include, it is empty. So let's watch what will happen when we activate this virtual environment and install Django to it. Let's see what will happen. All right, so let's activate this virtual environment. To do that on a window, we just call the name of the virtual environment. In this case, in my case, it is new env / capital letter. We start scripts / activate.bat. Hit enter and it's going to activate it. You can see this here. So this signifies that the virtual environment is active. Now let us install the framework that we are going to be using, which is the Django framework. All right, so to do that, we use the same thing, pip install Django. It's going to install the latest Django. Sorry. Pip install Django, and we wait for it to install Django for us. All right, Django is fully installed now. If you look at this place, you see SQL format.execute.exe, which is the SQL that we're going to be using, and this is Django executable file. And if you come to the leaves now, you see that it has these files, and these are the files that Django will be needing to work. And these are the apps. You can see the Django core. You can also see that, and then the forms, template, tags, and so on. Also, all these things are very important for Django to be able to run on this environment. So that's why we have to put up the virtual environment in order to separate it from the rest of the files that we have, or the Python modules that we have on our local machine. So that's the essence of creating our virtual environment. I'm going to clear the screen with CLS. If you are using Windows, it is CLS, but if you are using Mac or Linux, it is clear. CLEAR, clear. So that's for Linux and Mac. All right, so let's now create our Django project, because we have installed the Django. So let's go ahead to create the Django project. So to do that, what we will do is we will use Django-admin start project, and then the name of our project, which I am going to call Courier, and then a space with a dot, so that Django doesn't create a multiple folder structure. So that's why we have to use this dot. So this is going to create another folder here, and you can see it's called Courier, and this is the project. This is our project. So I hope that by now you must have known a little bit about Django. So if I go ahead and say Python manage.py run server, this is going to create a server, and the server is going to be running on port 8000. So let's wait for it. So let's see. So the issue is that I still left this particular server open. So let's close it up. Sorry. Sorry. Ctrl+C to close up this particular server. So now this is the our project. So it is running successfully. So now let's proceed. And you can see it says 18 unapplied migrations, and these 18 unapplied migrations are coming from the Django admin. So and the Django authentication and every other thing that Django will require if you want to create authentication or content type or whatever. So it is very key that you do this migration. But before we go to this, let's create our Django app. I am going to close this project by this server by using Ctrl+C. Now let's clear the screen. Let's now start an app with Django-admin start app, just like this. And then, sorry, no space for the app. Start app like this. Let's call this one logistic. So we hit enter, and Django is going to create another folder called logistic. Now we need to tell Django that we have another app that is going to be dependent on our main project. So to do that, what we do is we go to the project directory and go to the settings.py, and we look for the installed app list. So this is the installed app list. We can add this app that we just created. So to add it, we just set this, and the name is gonna be logistic. That's all for now. So now Django has known that we have an app. So now we need to make sure that Django also recognizes all the URLs that is going to come from the app. So to do that, we're going to come to the URLs under the project, and we click here. What we need to do is to add include. We need to import include, and then we add parts, and there's gonna be an empty string, and it will take this parameter include, and the include is going to take a string with logistic, which is the name of the app, .urls. That's all for now. I am going to also just, for some reasons, copy this. Okay, so let's take this one out and close the project. So we can now go to the app, which is logistic, and we will create the urls.py. So we call it urls.py. And we are going to paste this thing. I am going to remove the include function. I am also going to remove this one, the admin. I am going to also remove the include function. Then I am going to just call on the view. So now Django is a model view template framework. So which means that Django collects database from the model or data from the models, send it to the view handles the logic and send it to the template. So now, for each of the pages to be able to render, they must have a view function. So that's what we need to do. So to do that, we have to tell Django to import view, all our view from dot import views. So from dot, yeah, that's correct. So from the current directory import views, that's what we just told Django. And each of these views is going to be either a class or a function that's going to return something. So let me just do some certain things. So from Django dot http import http response. Okay, so let's now have this function. Let's call it home, and it's gonna take request and it's gonna return an HTTP response of a string welcome to my app. So just to show you how this works, so we can come here and we will set it as views dot home, which is we are calling on this function called home from this views dot py, and we can also set the name as home so that we can call it easily. And in this case, if you rerun this server, python manage.py run server, and you can see welcome to my app. So this is basically what we are returning. So we can now return both our HTML or whatever stuffs that we may need. So to do that, let's return back to our work. I am going to just bring in, instead of you returning in my view, instead of returning, let's close the URL. Instead of returning the HTTP response, I am going to now return render, which is a function or method that we can use to return a HTML template. Now we are going to pass so many arguments like request, and then the name of the template that we want. So we can call it index.html. So we want to return index.html. Now what we will do now is to move this template into the same directory that contains the same directory of our app. So the directory of our app, we move it to the logistic move, and we also do that for the static. So here we have our template and our static files. So we can create a folder called assets. Sorry, we have the static files already. So that's all we need. That's all we need. So now, by default, in Django 5.1, Django will automatically recognize the template. So when you rerun your server, I am going to quit this server and rerun it again. So let me spawn this one up a little bit. Let's see what we have. So it says reverse for about not found. So this is because I have already in my template set up all the URLs. So we need to make sure that all the URLs are pointing to their right URL. So we need to set all the URLs .py. So you can see that about is returning not a valid function, view function. So we need to set up the views and set up the function, the URLs, so that they can actually return something. So that's what we need to do. I will do that in a couple of seconds and we'll be back. All right, so I just created different views like the tracking view, the about view, The same way, just the same method, make sure you are referring to the right HTML, as you can see here. And that's all I just did. And then in the URL, I just pointed all the views on the URL. And that's all I just did now. So make sure you are not confused. If you get confused, or if there are things that you are not understanding, the source code is available on my GitHub. I will leave the link there so that you can go there and fork it and you see those things for yourself, and you can try it and see how it works. So if I run my server now and I go back and refresh this, you are going to see I will have this. So this is what I have. So, and everything is gonna work perfectly. So if you click here, so you can see it's working perfectly. If you click here, it's working perfectly. These are the whole HTML working perfectly. So the next thing is to make sure that you create all the necessary items that your logic will use. So that will be the next thing we are going to be implementing in the next section of this video. Please try as much as possible to support this channel by subscribing and clicking on the notification bell so that anytime I post a video, you will see it. Again, is that I would also prefer, and I would love if you can get me engaged by telling me what you want, what you feel like, what do you think, what topic of programming or Django, whether Django or JavaScript, that you find difficult, that you may want me to teach. Again, is if there is any concept in this particular video that you did not get to understand properly, you can also let me know using the comment section below. I am going to be there to answer all your questions. In fact, in my next video, I am going to be focusing on that particular topic that has been giving you troubles. I'll see you in the next episode. All right, guys, welcome to the second part of our Courier service website with Django. In this edition of our training on Django website creation, we are going to be looking into the database aspect of our Courier service. So here we are going to be storing the data that we want to retrieve, and as well as the tracking ID that we are going to be using to track our product or our consignment or our packages on the website. Now let's get started. All right, so the first thing I will do, I hope you still, if you haven't watched the first video, please make sure to watch it. I will make sure that I append it to this video. We basically have done the front end, which is taking control of how our website will look like. And if you actually look at the server, we have our server running, and we have this on our website. So this is basically what we have on the website. These are coming from the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that we have on the website. All right, so you can see that all pages are working perfectly, and there is no issues with the pages here. So we actually want to now implement the track. So because if you look at the tracking page, you can see that there is nothing to track. There is no form actually to track. So we need to implement all these things and make it to work perfectly. So guys, let's do that. All right, so let's go to our Visual Studio Code, which is my IDE, and I am going to pull this one a little bit down. I am not interested in the views for now, so we are interested in the database. So we should go to the models.py in the application, in the Django app. Now here we're going to do something. Django has imported DB, which is database for us using models. From the database, import models. So we are going to be using the models to create a database, because Django is an ORM platform, which stands for Object Relational Mapper. So we are going to be using the Object Relational Mapper of Django to create the table and the database for us. So let's do that. So I'm going to start with status. So I am going to create a class for this. So let's have a class, and I can call this class anything, but let's call it package. So this package is gonna have some fields like choices. So for the choices, we're gonna be using status. For the status underscore choices, because we want it to be to give us the choice of the something like the choices, meaning the status of our package, like shipping, shipped, pending, confirmation, different choices. So we're gonna be getting the choices like shipped, in transit, and different other choices. So sorry, it's going to be a list of this. So we have the choices to be processing, shipped, in transit, out of delivery, and delivered. So because we are actually looking at tracking the package, so we want to know when it is in transit, when it is in processing, when it is out for delivery, and when it is delivered actually. So the next field that we need to have is the sender's name. So let's do that. So the sender's name should be a character field and of maximum length of 100. And the next field is the receiver's and the receiver's email. So let's add them here. So the receiver's name is going to be model.char field and 100 characters in length, as well as the receiver's email is going to be models.email field, because we want to receive emails. Then the next one should be the tracking code. Now the tracking code should be a unique ID for the data. Is going to be a unique ID. So let's make it a unique ID. So it's going to be uuid.uuid4, and it is going to be editable. It is not going to be editable, and it's not going to be a unique value, and that's why we are setting it as unique true. So we actually need to import this uuid to be able to make use of it. So we can go to the top here and make sure we import uuid so that it doesn't throw up any error to us. Then next is gonna be the choices. So we're going to be now storing these choices that we made up here. So let's do that. So to do that, we can now say status is equal to model.character field, because it's going to be a character, and maximum length of 20 characters. Choices is going to be the status choices, and which is this that we have at the top here. Then let's now add the date of creation and the date of update. So we are going to be storing them by date, as well as when we update this status, because we are going to be updating the status depending on where the product is, or the transition of the product, because we want to track them. So we want to also set up the dates when this status has changed. Okay, so that's why we have to set up the date when it was created and the date when it was updated. So to do that, it's gonna be created at model.date field, and it's gonna be auto add now, as well as the update auto add now, so that we can automatically do every single thing. Then we need to also show this on the admin. We need to show it by the tracking code and the name of the sender. So to do that, we are now going to create a string character or a string function to be able to do that. So let me just put this down a little bit so that I'll show you what I just did. So when you come here, these are the choices or the status choices, and for the status we are going to inherit from the status choices, which is here, and then the time and the date when we created it and the time we updated it. And we want to show this to the admin using the tracking number and the receiver's name, so that we can track it even in the admin, as well as change the status of the package. So we need to make sure that the server is running, and since the server is still running, as you can see here, but there is one issue that we must solve, which is you have 18 unapplied migrations. So for these 18 unapplied migrations, it is coming from the Django admin, as well as from the Django content type and the Django users model. So by default, Django has automatically handled authentication, content type, user permission, users data, and so on. So we just need to store this table, record this table, and make it available in the database. And that is actually why it is telling us that we should run this migration. And it is very important to run this migration. So we need to close this server with Ctrl+C and run this code. So what we run, Python manage.py migrate. So because we need to migrate those data, and Django has migrated all those data. Now to show you that Django has migrated all those data, if you do Python manage.py run server and hit enter, you will notice that the previous error that the previous information it was given to us to this particular alert is no longer visible, because Django has already created those tables. And if you look at this db.sqlite, if you click on it, I have an extension that is called SQLite Viewer. So if you want to get SQLite Viewer, you can just go to your extensions tab, click on it, and type SQLite Viewer. That's the extension, and this is it. So you can click on it and click install to install it. So once you install it, you'll be able to view your SQLite. So let's come back. So if I go to this SQLite and click on it, you will see it says that we have these tables. You have the Django auth group, the Django auth group permission, and you can see the tables, the authentication permission. You can see also the tables, and you can see Django user. You will see also the tables, user group, user permission, and so on, Django migrations, and so on. So these are all the tables. So as you can see, Django has not created the table that we had in this model, which is package. You can see we have this package here, and Django has not actually created it, and that's because we haven't run the migration. So we need to make sure that we run the migration, and to do that we need to end this server again, and we type python manage.py make migrations and hit enter. So Python is going to make the migration, and you can see it says logistic migration 0001 underscore initial.py. So it has created this particular table, so we can just migrate it to the table. Okay, so to migrate it to the table now, what we'll do is python manage.py migrate, hit enter, and the migration is going to run, and you can see all migrations have been, all content type logistics section has been fully applied. If you go to your SQLite viewer now, you are going to see this thing on the table. So let's close this SQLite and rerun it again. Let's see. You will see that we have logistic package here. And I see it, and we have ID, then we have sender name, receiver name, and so on, tracking ID, status, and on the status you can filter it. You can see created at and updated at, and this is actually coming from the Django table. So you can see this is just the normal thing you do on your normal database SQL or operations. Okay, so let's close this up. We'll close this up because now we need to bring in this particular table to the view so that people can get data from the template. So because you know Django is an MVT platform, which stands for model view template, and in model view template architectures, they are structured in a way that the models controls the data, whereas the views control the logic on how those data are transferred, and then the templates controls what the user will see. So it is just basically HTML in the template. So if you get the data from the database, it is filtered from the database, but then the views is going to now control how everything works. Okay, so that's what we are now going. So we now have a database where we can retrieve our data from, or where we can store our data into. So we now need to set up the views that will control the whole logic that we handle those data. So let's go to the views.py. And for the views.py, we want to make sure that everything is working in the, let's start with the tracking page. As you can see on the website, the tracking page ends, the name is track. So we need to see the view that controls track. And this is the view, and it is going to the HTML called track.html. So here is where we actually need to work. And before we work on this, we really need to import these certain things, some certain functions like get get object or 404. We need it. We also need to import that particular model. So to import that particular model, so what we need to do is we can say from dot models import, and what we want to import is packages or package, because if you look at the model that we have there, the name of the model is package, and this model is what we are importing into this view so that we can actually use it. One more thing, we want to have a form where the user will be able to, do some certain logic, which is the user will be able to track, put in some figures into the form, and then track their package. So to be able to do that, what we actually need to do is to create a form. So in our Django app, we will create forms.py, and this forms.py, we are going to import this same model, which is the package model. Apart from that, we also need to import Django form. So by default, Django has already done everything. So we are actually working with what Django has already provided to us. So I am going to do this. So what I actually did now was I imported Django form. I imported forms from Django because Django has done that for me. And I set up a tracking form with Django, and it's going to inherit from forms.form. And I now have to put up the tracking ID to be the unique identifier field, which is the ID. And then I will now set a widget so that I can be able to use class, because the front page of that template is using Bootstrap. So Bootstrap are always classed, and the class of Bootstrap is what gives it its style. That's the beautification that we see in the Bootstrap, and that is actually why I am working with this widget. Okay, so this is what we have. So enter your tracking code, and that's all. So we need to now import this same form into the view so that this form can be accessed by the view as well. So we can go to the view, and here in the view, what we do is we can say from dot form. The reason why we are appending dot is to tell it that the form exists in the same directory with the view. So from dot form, import tracking form, which is this tracking form that we created here. So we want to import it into the view. Now, since we have imported it into the view, we can now be able to make use of this form. Now, since we have imported this, let us now finish up working with this home. So we will work with the home. So the first thing we need to do is to we now say if request.method is post, then form equals tracking form. So we are now accessing that form. Then if form is valid, tracking ID is clean data, and we are accessing it through the tracking ID, and so on. So I will leave this code, the source code to this tutorial in the video description, so you can just go there and download it, then use it to study it anyhow you want it. It is free. I will leave it up for open source. Actually, the front end, which is the design that we are using for this, was gotten from Made for Bootstrap. So it's a free template from Made for Bootstrap, which they left for us for free. So I only added the backend to it. So I shouldn't sell it because I did not make the template, but I made the backend. So you can use it anyhow you like. It is an open source project, so you are free to navigate through it and learn it. So one of the major things that you will understand about programming is that it is not a rocket science. It is what you just need to constantly practice. So the more you practice, the more you learn. There is no secret to it. It is just the more you practice, the more you learn. That's all. So this same thing that I did here, I also want to copy what this code that I have here. I want to copy it as well and use it for the tracking code. So let's go to the track, and I will also use it since I am using the same, I am going to be using the same display. So, but I am going to do some little changes here. So for this track is going to also take us to the same page, which is going to be track.html. One more thing, in the home, I want to display it into the home directory. So what do I do now? So sorry. So what I will do is here is going to take us to the home directory. So it's gonna be home.html. I think it's home.html. Okay, index.html and not actually home.html. Take us to index.html. Okay, so what I actually did here is that all these forms are going to be returned in the home page. So when you track it, the information are going to display in the home page. And then on the tracking page, I also did it that when you track it on the tracking page, all the details of the information of what you are actually tracking is going to be returned on that tracking page. So let's see what we did. But before that, let's make sure that our server is running. As you can see here, our server is actually not running. So we can use python manage.py run server to make sure that our server is running. So we can now refresh this page, and you can see that we have the form working. Now let's go to the admin. So I am going to just copy this, copy. We can actually go to the home as well. Let's see if that is actually working perfectly. So you can see it is the same thing, track your code example. And if you come back here, you see it's still the same thing, track your code. All right, let's go to the admin. So to create the whole thing, so we go to the admin, but we don't have any admin at this point. So what do we do? So what we should do now is to go to our Visual Studio Code, end the server with Ctrl+C, clear this screen, and then python manage.py create super user. So we want to create a super user. I am going to call it prof. I am going to use my default email, but the password is gonna be test123. Enter. Test123. Enter. Now when you are typing your password, it will not show for security reasons. Okay, so my password is too short and too common, and don't make sure your password is secured by using case sensitive and characters, numbers, and different symbols in your password, and make it long, at least 8 digits long. So let me just press Y to override this because this is a tutorial video. All right, so this has created a super user. If you go to that SQLite again, you will see that I will now have one user. So let's see the user. You can see I have one user, and the name is prof. The username is prof because I did that now, and you can see every other thing. So that's just it. All right, let's run our server with python manage.py run server. All right, let's go to the website, and we can use the name, the username, and the password that we just created. Let's see. Good. It takes us to this admin page, but you can see that it is not displaying the package. So to be able to make it to display the package, what we actually need to do is to register this particular model in the admin.py. So we need to register this model in admin.py. So to do that, we need to import that package. So to do that, we say from .models import package. So we imported the package now. So we can now say admin.site.register, and what we want to register is package, and that's all. Let's make sure that our server is still running. I'm not sure, but I can just simply Ctrl+C to end this server and arrow up key to visit the last command that you used. So let's wait for it. Okay, so now let's refresh, and we have packages, and we can click on the packages to add more package. So let's add sender name as Ebuka Emma, and the receiver, let's make it Ifeanyi Blankton David, and let's set the email, and let's set it as processing, and click on save. And you can see that automatically an ID, a tracking ID, has been generated for us. I can copy this tracking ID, but let's go to our Visual Studio Code and see the request that was sent to the Visual Studio Code, and you can see there is no email request that was sent. And this is because we haven't handled anything like email requests for now. But let's do one more thing. Let's just be sure that our tracking code is working. So we paste the tracking code here, and we click on track, and you can see it says forbidden. So one of the reasons why we have this error is because we are not protected from cross-site request forgery. So we must include this cross-site request forgery template in the Django template to secure it. So that's one of the reasons why you must use Django, because Django is a very secure framework of Python. So let's go to the track page, and we can go to the form where the tracking exists, and this is basically what I have in the tracking page. So but one thing I need to do is to make sure that I have this CSRF token included in the form. Once you are done with that, I don't think you will have any other issue. Now, I noticed that this is still showing the CSRF token, and I read this now and I found out that the token, it says the token from post is incorrect, and I was thinking about it, and this is actually either because we did not take charge of what we have in the settings.py. So we must always see those things. Let's see from the settings.py on the project directly to be sure that we have a secret key, which is this secret key, and the secret key is here. So okay, so one of the reasons why you may be having that CSRF token issue is maybe from your form. So look for that form that is rendering that search form. This is the form. So make sure you add this to it. So we can do that by adding this, something like this, and we say CSRF underscore token to it. So this should be enough to resolve the issue. But before you do this, if you are using Django 5.1, you don't have issue, because in the settings.py you already have that. You already have this this thing that I will show you, the secret key. Okay, so you already have this secret key, but if in your own you don't have the secret key, please create a secret key and then add this CSRF token to your site. And once you do that, make sure your server is still running. As you can see here in my own, my server is still running. I can then go to my tracking page again, and let's go to this admin again, copy the code, the tracking code, come here, paste it, and track. See, so it shows us the tracking ID, it shows us the receiver and the status. And if I go to the admin now and click this and update from this to in transit and save, you will notice that if I come here and also refresh it, you will see it is in transit. So this is now rendering the package, so we can now track our package. And one more thing I want to do now is I want to add this search form, this map that we have here. I want to put it up in the tracking page, because I know some people would want to have something like that in their tracking form, okay, where they will have something like a map showing something. It's gonna be a static map, I am not going to be diving into making it a dynamic map where you are going to be seeing the delivery guy moving from the map, because I don't have the time to work in API right now. But let's do that. So we can go to this and we go to the contact.html. Then let's look for the map. Now this is the map. I am going to do what? Copy the map. So let's just copy the iframe of the map, and this is where it ends. Copy that, and I'll take it to the tracking page. And after the form, this is where we are rendering the form information, which is the form details. I am going to render it below the image, just below the image. So let's put it here, and let's come to the website now and go to the tracking page. You can see, let's put up the track and click to track, and you can see what we have, and the map is here, and this is exactly what we want to see. In the home, we need to also make sure that we can track from the home, and you can see we cannot track from the home, and this is actually, there is no problem, because if you look at this place, you can see that it is getting the data, but the problem is that it doesn't know how to save the data in the front page. So to do that, we can simply go to the index page, and after the form or above the form, we can render this form here. Okay, but if we want this thing to redirect us to the tracking page, we can actually do that so that we don't alter what we have in the home page. So to do that, we can come to the home, to the view, and go to the home route, and at this place where we are sending the person to the home page, we can just send the person to the track.html, and that's all. Let's try refreshing and put up the code again and see. There is still an issue. Wait, let's see, because we want it to return us to the track page. We can actually use redirect, but I don't want to waste a lot of time doing this video. It is getting too long, so I am going to end it at this place. If you have any question, you can ask your questions, and make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'll be providing the source code. Whichever source code that you need in Django, you can let me know. I'll provide it for free to you, including banking, investment, and any other type of script that you need to any form of assistance with. I will provide it for free. So make sure you support this channel by subscribing and hitting on the notification bell, so that anytime I post a video, you'll be notified. As well as you can help me by sharing the content to your friends, so that you can get to a wider audience. Thank you for being here with me, and I appreciate you very much. Take care, and I love you. Bye.